Hi everyone, welcome back to another Am I the Arsehole episode. Let's just get right into it. Am I the arsehole for calling the police on my roommates after they broke into my room? How did that even happen? Okay, so I, 22 women, live with two roommates, one 22 woman and the other 23 woman, and we've had some tension lately. I've always been a private person, so I make it a point to keep my room door closed when I'm not there. Do you have locks on these doors? The trouble started a few weeks ago when one of my roommates, let's call her Rachel, started borrowing my things without asking. I didn't mind sharing occasionally, but Rachel would take stuff without telling me, and when I confronted her about it, she'd either deny it or get defensive. Are you sure that Rachel took these things? Because there are three of you there, who knows, it could have been the other person. After a couple of weeks of this, I decided to check with our landlord to make sure it was okay to put a lock on my bedroom door. He said it was fine as long as it wasn't an issue with the door frame, so I went ahead and installed it. I felt like it was the only way to keep my things safe, especially after I noticed some of my personal items were moved or misplaced. That's crazy to me. Oh my gosh. What things were taken and missing? Were they borrowing like clothes, shoes and stuff? I don't know. I think it depends on the kind of household, because I can definitely imagine sharing hair straighteners, like just letting things borrow. But you would ask before you do those things. It would never be anything personal. But also it's fine if you're not like that. Fast forward to a few days ago, I came home from work and noticed that the door to my room was wide open. Immediately I got this sinking feeling. My laptop, which I left on my desk, was missing, as well as my Nintendo Switch. Oh my god, okay, those are big ticket items. I called Rachel and my other roommate and asked if they had been in my room. Rachel acted surprised but also defensive, and they just seemed concerned, asking if everything was okay. This is mind-boggling to me. What the hell? I was furious, rightly so. I knew the only way my door would be open was if someone had broken in, and at this point I was pretty sure I knew who it was. Did you like have an actual key like lock in your door? Because then I understand, okay, you can lock it from the outside. If someone broke into your room, like surely that had to cause damage, like visible damage you can see. So maybe you're sure that someone broke in. I'm sure like they probably did, but I'm saying you could probably double check that by seeing, is there actual damage to your door and the lock? I went into my room and searched for my laptop and Switch, but they were both gone. After some time back and forth with Rachel, I realized that she had taken them without permission. No, she admitted it? Oh my god. When I confronted her, she admitted to borrowing them for a few days, but didn't think it was a big deal. What the hell? What on earth? Who are these people? The grown ass age of what, 22 or 23? You are taking other people's stuff without even asking. Such expensive things too, and not even like caring. That's... At that point, I was beyond frustrated. I told Rachel that I didn't appreciate her violating my privacy and I was done trying to sort things out on my own. I called the police to report that my property had been stolen and that I felt unsafe in my own home. Is that a bit of a stretch too far? Let's think about this for a second. I understand that your property was technically stolen. Hopefully, has it been returned? Has it been returned to you yet? And also, you know who did it. So I completely understand trying to like get the police involved in trying to get Rachel to kind of pay for her actions. I am wondering whether it would be better for you to like move out, or I don't know who has control over where you're living, if it's like a mutual thing, everyone has equal kind of rights to it. If you and the other roommate discuss Rachel leaving the property, because this is obviously unacceptable, something has to happen. I don't know whether it's too far if the police got involved or not. Probably not. Probably not, because this is a terrible thing that's happened. The police showed up, and after hearing my side of things and talking to Rachel, they advised her to return the laptop and Switch and apologised for the inconvenience. The laptop was returned, but the Switch wasn't, and she claimed that she didn't know I owned a Switch. Didn't she just say she borrowed them for a few days? She seemed to think I was overreacting, and some of my friends have also been saying that I might have taken things too far by involving the cops. Look, especially if Rachel wasn't giving back the laptop and Switch, I completely understand why you want to get someone else involved. The main question is, how are the friends not annoyed at Rachel, or kind of like questioning, like, why the frick are you stealing other people's stuff? That is not okay. I even would think it would be wrong if you were stealing food, if you were stealing small items, if you were like borrowing clothes and stuff. That is wrong in itself. But a laptop and a Switch, that is just not okay. Now I'm feeling conflicted. I honestly didn't expect things to escalate this much, but I felt like I had no choice. I'm just so tired of being taken advantage of in my own home. But at the same time, I feel bad because now things are super awkward with Rachel and the police involvement might have been too dramatic. So am I the arsehole for calling the police or my roommate after she went into my room without permission and took my devices? Rachel is the biggest arsehole here. Like, who does that? And she deserves to pay for the consequences of her actions. Like, no one does that and get away with it. Even if it's her excuse of, oh, but I know OP, like, we're friends, I can take her stuff. That is not okay. That is still not allowed. It doesn't matter how close you are to me. If you're taking my stuff, you need to tell me. That is not something that's negotiated or negotiable depending on how close you are to me. That is a standard that is set for everyone, because at the end of the day, it's my things, it's my items. No matter what you do with them, you ask, because it's mine. If it was like a house thing where you all kind of use these items and like the Switch was everyone's, like everyone paid for it, then I can understand why Rachel would take it for a few days, like for Shine. Ugh, yeah, fine. The question is though, was calling the police too much? The thing that I'm thinking about, let me just try and say my thoughts and let's see if we can actually come to a conclusion on this. The thing that I'm thinking about is, if you didn't know who took the items, if someone had broken into your room, you didn't know who took the items, I completely understand why you'd call the police, because you're trying to find the person who took the items. Someone's broken into your home, someone's broken into your room, that's a big deal. But in this case, you know who did it. You know it was Rachel. There's no like investigation here, like you know someone's done it. On the other hand, Rachel still hasn't returned the Switch, which is kind of insane, and has technically stolen your laptop. I don't know whether this is a case where it's like a warning and then you call the police, as in like, Rachel, stop taking my items, this is a complete breach of privacy, I swear to God, you do this again, I will call the police on you, because this is not okay. Have like a camera in my room just to like properly get proof that Rachel is doing these things. And in that case, if she does it again, then go to the police and be like, look, I told you this is not okay, and now you have proper evidence and Rachel can properly face consequences for her actions. I don't know whether it was a bit too soon doing it now. I know you've said that she's stolen things in the past, but this might be the first time she's stolen something super major, and that's why I'm not sure whether it's the right time to call the police. I don't know whether calling the police was the best thing to do in this situation, but even if you did, fine. I don't think you're a bad person for doing it. I don't think OP is in the wrong for calling the police. It might have been unnecessary, sure, but OP is definitely not the arsehole for calling the police. Either way, Rachel is obviously not understanding the concept of why stealing is bad, and yes, should definitely suffer consequences for her actions. I don't know what the police is going to do. I don't know if police can do anything much about it, because it's weird. It is technically theft. It's a really weird case. I wonder what the police has done or would do in this case, because it's not clear. It hasn't been said anything about what the police has done. I don't know if Rachel actually got into trouble or not, or was just given a warning like, oh, don't steal. But that's something you tell like a 5-year-old. It baffles me that there are people like Rachel who still think that this kind of behavior is acceptable, even at the age of like 22 or 23. That is ridiculous. So yeah, I actually think not the arsehole here. I don't think OP is the arsehole here for calling the police on their roommate, because at the end of the day, it's a breach of trust and privacy. And it might be a little bit too much, sure, but I don't think you are the arsehole for doing too much in this case, because you have been so wronged that I can understand why you feel the need to take it this far. You've been wronged so many times, especially by someone who's living with you. When you live with someone, you are almost kind of sharing trust with that person. You believe that you're going to be safe with them. So if it is to the point where you're feeling unsafe in your home, I completely understand why you'd want to take extreme measures to get this person out. I definitely think that you should look into either getting to a new place or you and the other roommate somehow kicking Rachel out, because this is not okay. Rachel definitely should not be allowed to do this. I get you're like in your 20s, like early 20s, and you're like learning how to adult and finding life, but you're not finding how to be a decent human being. That should be instilled in you from like a very young age. Let's see what someone else has said. So someone said, personally, I don't think you took it far enough. Your other roommate may have your Switch. I didn't even consider that. Do you reckon this is like a joint thing where it's like, oh, you take the laptop, you take the Switch? Oh my God, that is insane. Ask her if she has it, but if she denies, then go file a police report for the theft. Then call pawn shops in the area to see if anyone has then sold them your Switch. That is so true. I also just want to know the motive. Why have they been stealing your stuff? Like, is it to get cash? Is it to go sell them to pawn shops? That is insane. That's so true. It could just not be Rachel. I mean, Rachel has admitted to taking the laptop, but it could be the other roommate too. You also need a better lock on your door. Yep, agreed. Not the arsehole. Rachel may have broken your Switch by accident too, which is why she didn't give it back. That is also true. How do you break a Switch? Like, are you serious? Especially if you're stealing something and if you have the intention of returning it, you would be even more careful than you would be, because you know you have to give it back in perfect condition. If you really don't care and you break it, that just shows absolute carelessness. I don't even understand that. My brain cannot comprehend this immaturity. But yeah, that's true. We haven't heard much from the other roommate, and especially if your other friends are saying like, oh, you're overreacting, there's something maybe dodgy going on here. I feel like you could definitely build up a case to get Rachel out of that property, because they've got to be breaching something for sure. That is just not okay. So that was a bit of an interesting one. Let me know your thoughts. Did OP take it too far by calling the police, or were their actions justified? But we can all unanimously agree that Rachel, what the hell, arsehole, biggest arsehole to ever exist. On to the next one. Am I the arsehole for not willing to split the cost of a group gift when I wasn't included in the card? Interesting. We've been having some friends ones where it's all about splitting costs. That's interesting. One of my friends got a new job recently, and some of my friends decided to get her a little gift. That is so cute. I was in the group chat where it got brought up, but I was super busy with studying and didn't say much. A couple people were throwing around ideas, and I figured they'd update us later. Update us later? I mean, that's what a group chat is for. Like, you're all on a group chat. You can choose when to look at the messages. I would assume if I'm sending messages in the group chat that everyone will read them at their own time. But I would not expect to update people later, because I'm sending these in a place where you are able to see them. Well, last weekend they gave her the gift, which is an AirPod Pro. Oh, money! And posted a little photo of her holding it with a card. Aww. I didn't even know they picked something already. I also wasn't asked to sign the card or even told when they were giving it to her. That is kind of dodge. Yeah, the fact that you weren't there when they gave her the gift or this card is a little bit weird. Are you sure they didn't tell you? Are you saying they didn't tell you directly and they put it in the group chat? Because I'm not gonna lie, if they put it in the group chat, that is slightly on you. That is the same as asking someone to meet up. And if you're not responding to the messages, and then you get annoyed when they go there and you're not there, and you're like, well, you didn't tell me. And they're like, I did. I put it in the group chat. It's your choice not to see those messages. Then that same night, one of the girls Venmo requested me $20 for my share. I asked what it was for, and she said the gift, obviously, like I should have just known. Girl, I think you need to read this group chat, because there's probably stuff going on that you are not aware about, and you need to do some reading. I understand you're studying, and I know it's a lot, but it depends I feel like it might depend on how close these friends are to you, but I don't really think that you have time to just read some messages, especially if something big has happened, like one of your close friends has gotten a new job. I told her I didn't get to sign the card or even know what they picked, and she said it didn't matter because I was part of the group and it's just what we all agreed to. But like, I never agreed. I don't think I was included. I wasn't even asked. Okay, I'm thinking. After that, they're saying I'm making it awkward and that it's not about the money. It's about celebrating a friend, but I kind of feel like I was treated like an afterthought and still expected to pay. Am I the arsehole? Okay, a couple things here. One, do you not gather costs before you purchase an item? You've given her the gift already and now you're collecting money, but is it not like the other way around where you collect money and then give the gift? Because I don't know, it seems like a small detail, right? But actually, this problem would then be brought up a lot sooner rather than later, and then you know whether unanimously all the friends have agreed to get this gift or who to leave out, because in that case, if you find out that other people don't want to be involved, you can get something maybe a bit cheaper than AirPod Pros. I have done group gifts in the past where we've all contributed money to get the gift, but it's always been a case where we all put the money in first and then we get a gift with how much that money is, if that makes sense. Or we will at least consent to doing it before it's actually been bought. So in that way, we know that we're going to pay money towards it. We have put money towards it and we've ordered the thing, it's arriving, and then we give it. And that way there's no trouble, because you haven't already bought the item and then now you're asking for people for money and it gets complicated because then people might pull out. So I think the way that this has been done in general is just not the best way to go around it. But okay, we're in this problem anyway, so let's see what the hell's happened. I don't know whether I need some more information as to what was said on that group chat, because if they were discussing gift ideas in the group chat, if they were discussing when they were going to give the gift in the group chat, all those kind of important information, and you just blindly didn't see it because you didn't look at the group chat, I personally feel like that is partly your fault. I know you're busy, you're studying, you're doing other things, but if you want to be involved in group chat and friendly things, you should be on the group chat. You should be maybe interacting with them. So that is partially on you. At the end of the day though, I think it is all about consent, saying yes, I would like to pay towards this gift. Yes, I'd like to sign the card. I'd like to be there when they give it to her. That's another thing. It's a bit weird that you weren't there when they actually gave her the gift, especially if all the other friends were there. But again, it's that case of, was it in the group chat? Were they all like, yes, we're gonna meet this time, this place, let's all be there, and everyone else was like, yeah. And if you were the only person that said no, I can see why they would just do it anyway. I just think that we need more information. I need to know what happened in that group chat, because if they like tagged you and were like, hey, are you coming at this time? Are you coming here? And you just weren't responding because you were studying, they're not gonna wait for you. There's like, they're not gonna wait forever for you to be ready and respond for them to continue giving their gift to their friend. So I think I need to see what happened in that group chat, because if they did make it clear to you and they were asking for your input and you just ignored them, then I think you're the arsehole. But if they didn't, and you weren't told where it was going to be, you weren't told or asked about signing the card or paying beforehand, then I think you're not the arsehole. Right? It makes sense, because you're not being told, hey, can you please sign this card? We're going to give her this gift. It's going to cost this much. Is everyone okay for paying that amount? But then I guess, was it wrong for the friendship group to assume that OP was going to pay? I don't know. I think it depends. It depends on how long you guys have been friends for and how close you guys are, because there are groups who will just assume that you're paying. Because if you're in a group chat, if you're one of those friends, then I can see why it's like, yeah, of course you're going to pay towards the gift. Like, you're one of our friends. We always do group gifts, especially if it's a thing where you frequently do group gifts and everyone just contributes and pays anyway, then I can see why that would happen. It's the same thing of like, if my sister got a gift and it was from all of us, so my other sister was like, hey, pay me 20 quid because we got this gift for other sister, and you know, we always give gifts from each other, so let's do it. And I'd be like, oh, okay, sure, would love to know about it next time, but I understand. Bam, here's 20 quid. It also could be a thing where OP is actually being left out of the group. That is also a completely valid scenario where they are kind of like meeting up without her, doing stuff without her, which is obviously a very sucky feeling. Like, could be because OP is busy right now studying, and I get it. But in that case, especially, I don't think OP should be expected to pay towards something that she didn't get to see in advance or even sign the card. Because how did everyone sign the card? Is it like a Moonpig thing where like someone just writes a message and sign it from everyone, or did everyone actually individually sign the card? Because then in that case, I'd be like, yeah, why am I not there? So yeah, I think it depends on a couple things. I guess I'm primarily going to say need more information. I'm going to say I need some more information about what was actually said in that group chat. Did you just miss the messages, or did they not actually communicate half of those things? Do they have a secret group chat without you? Like, there's a lot of things I feel like I need to know. Even if there were messages sent in the group chat and OP just missed them or didn't look at them because they were busy, you still don't necessarily assume that someone is going to pay. That should have been maybe established beforehand as well. So, okay, I do understand that you shouldn't necessarily be paying for things without consent. I get that. But I don't know whether this has been a massive communication, because if they had communicated with you, you would have paid, right? Like, you would have happily paid the $20, I'm guessing. It was just that you didn't really know what was going on. I don't know, let's see what other people have to say. Someone said, I was super busy and studying and didn't say much. They assumed you were keeping up with the conversation since you were part of the group. If you look back on the group chat, was there ever any mention of signing the card that you may have missed? Good, that's some information that we need. Anything in the group chat? OP actually responded and said, when I look back, they didn't chat much about it after, but some of them are taking the same course, so I guess they went to buy it together after class. They didn't chat much about it after. You don't have to chat much about it and to still establish details. It could literally be one sentence. Okay, we're going to this store at this time. Who can be there? Yes. Done. End of conversation. Let's move on. But of course, if you say some of them are taking the same course, they went to buy it together after class, I get how that could leave you out of it. And in that case, if really on the group chat, as I said beforehand, if they really didn't update you on the group chat and they didn't get people to sign it individually and they didn't include your name on the card, then you shouldn't be forced to pay for it. I agree with that, and you're not the asshole if they truly did that. If they signed the card without you, as in like they all individually signed the card and they didn't mention it again on the group chat about the cost of the AirPods, or like that's the gift they're getting, then you're not the asshole. I completely agree with you. But if they did say, is this the cost? Is everyone okay with that? And everyone said yes. And if they included you or tried to include you and you didn't see the messages, then you are the arsehole. I think partially. I still don't think you have to pay for it. Oh, it's kind of weird. Someone else said, not the arsehole. Whoever bought the card should have given it to you to sign. I agree. I think it does depend though. Like, was this a card where one person signed it and just signed it from everyone, or was it passed around? In which case, yes, you definitely should have been involved and involved a lot more in the process. Okay, that was a bit of an intense one. I'm still a little bit confused in a sense. I don't know what I particularly want to stick with, but I think I primarily need more information. I don't know. I want to see that group chat, because I can't tell whether OP is like being truthful about how no one told her anything and she's being blindsided. I'm not saying that she's lying, but I just don't know whether that's truly the case, that they all did this without her telling a thing and just randomly requested $20. Because especially if you have a group chat, I'm assuming so much stuff went down in there, and it's completely normal for you to have missed that if you're choosing to study and not look at it. That's fine. But I can also see how it's entirely possible for the friends to do this behind your back, and in that case, receiving a random $20 request can be quite confusing because you're like, I had no part in this, so why am I going to contribute to something I had no part in? So it's a bit of a tough one. Let me know what you guys think, because I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on this one in particular. Well, maybe the police should have been called in this case too. I don't know. Do you think calling the police is too far? Let me know your thoughts. So thank you all so much for joining, and I'll see you all again very soon. Okay, bye. Bye.